Mr. Aish Gupta, Mr. Fleming Joseph, Ms. Rajlakshmi A. A huge round of applause for all the dignitaries on and off the dais.
Is a chartered accountant and has doctorate in forensic accounting from National Forensic Sciences University, India, an institute of national importance under Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Practicing since a decade and a half, his exclusive practice is in the domain of forensic investigation of financial crime and dispute resolution. He has also conducted fraud examinations in multiple countries. A huge round of applause and a very warm welcome to CA Durgesh Pandey, sir.
Hello, yeah. So, Durgesh ji, in fact, has come a long way for us from Ahmedabad, one of the most prominent experts on forensic audits, and we have heard him for a member session about a couple of months back, where I immediately told him, sir, 28th and 29th June, we have a student conference in Kochi. Will you be able to make it? So he had to travel in between to London, he had to travel in between to South Africa. So he said, I said, aap kahi bhi jao. Block the dates for me for 28th and 29th, and he was very much obliged in terms of doing it. Thank you so much, sir. It's a privilege to have you. Thank you very much. Over to you.
These were some life lessons for me as well, not just for students. We tend to forget when we climb up in the career ladder. Okay, so a couple of things. I understand I am the session chair, so I am supposed to speak less and hear more, which is difficult for me, but still I'll try. So we have 3 sessions today, and we have 3 paper presenters with us, bright young minds. We have forensic accounting and fraud examination, corporate governance, and cybersecurity audit. Now see, I'll tell you a quick pointer, and probably forensic is turning into a mainstream practice. I always say at all the forums, mostly I speak less with students, more with members. I'm more into the member community rather than the students community. But I always tell the members that if you lean on compliance-based practice is your tax audit, GST, income tax audits, which are by virtue of the acts. So if you lean more on compliance-based practice, it is sooner or later bound to exhaust, bound to finish. So you have to be more into the consulting and advisory domain. This entire session today that we are having, that is for consulting and advisory domain. It's a sunrise field. We just had the session where, Lijit sir was telling that the opportunities are numerous. Why do you start thinking from the point of view that you will be getting a huge audit of a large scale company, say HPCL, BPCL, ONGC or whatsoever you will be getting? Why don't you think of becoming somebody, we have so many financial influencers, why should I take name of anyone? We have so many of them, chartered accountants doing exceptionally well. There are chartered accountants working in so many fields which are beyond finance. Coming to forensic accounting, now, what is the dictionary meaning of the word forensic? The word forensic has come from the Latin word forensis, meaning acceptable before forum. Now, when you hear forensic accounting, for that matter, yes, we colloquially use the word forensic audit, but then the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, they have come up with forensic accounting and investigation standards, in which they have said that the word forensic audit should not be used. So please make it a point from now on, from today onwards, don't call the practice area as forensic audit, rather it is forensic accounting and investigation. So when we speak about forensic accounting is a dispute resolution service, or the accountant, the professional, whosoever is doing the investigation, he is or she is in a paralegal capacity assisting the court to make informed decisions. This is the classic dictionary meaning of forensic accounting. Couple of examples I would like to tell you, emphasizing the importance. I don't know how many of you, and I'm sure a lot of you must have heard about Satyam. Satyam, correct? DHFL, ILNFS. These are all notorious examples of corporate failures because of greed, lack of corporate governance, and investigation has been done using the forensic accounting tools. I understand these young minds today, they'll be presenting paper on the subject, corporate governance and forensic accounting. And then the last topic, cyber security that we have, as we have. See, did you hear about a news item probably 4 months or 5 months, I suppose 6 months ago in the newspapers, where the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi, that is the largest public sector hospital, one of the largest maybe in the country, that was affected by a ransomware. Have you heard that? For 14 days, the computers couldn't work, and there was the OPD slips based on which the patient services were delivered couldn't happen. Imagine only if one hospital in the country was targeted and this was the repercussion. Imagine what will happen if the large 3 banks, large 10 hospitals, large airports, if these are targeted, what will happen? So the topics that has been chosen, they are very pertinent, very important. Please make most of this time, ask questions, learn from these sessions, and I understand you will go home far more wiser than you have come. Okay? A quick point from my side. I'll be asking someone, I have a presentation. I'll be giving you 2 QR codes. So I have created 2 courses on Udemy. One is on financial statement fraud, one is on asset misappropriation. So 2 courses, each course is about 1.5 hours, specially curated for chartered accountants, finance students. That is, it has a price at Udemy, but then I am distributing copies. You'll be getting 2 QR codes. Those QR codes would be valid for 4-5 days. I mean, you have to start your course in 4-5 days. Once you start your course, you can use it whenever you want. Please try to make use of that. We'll be having roughly one by one, please. This is the first course. You can take a picture, you can go, you can register on Udemy, and you can learn the course. 1,000 copies for 5 days, first come, first serve basis. Okay? This is available free of cost. You can see that it is available on Udemy. And I'm planning to give probably 40 hours of comprehensive learning on the entire forensic accounting universe. We also have a book published by Texmen coming. So sometimes we may speak about that. As I said, it's difficult to hear, easy to speak. Now it is my time to hear. Thank you so much for sharing, and probably I'll speak at the end once summing up what they all say. Thank you.
Technical session. Let me introduce our first presenter, Mr. Ayush Gupta, who hails from Delhi and is currently doing industrial training at Bangalore. Ayush, welcome to Kerala.
Fraud, a term universally disliked, has unfortunately surged recently, shocking the global community, hasn't it?
I have been exploring forensic accounting and fraud examination techniques recently, and I believe it's crucial. Establishing a solid plan can empower us to make a well-informed decision.
Hello everyone, how is everyone doing? How is the Josh? Great. So, I'm assuming that there will be very less number of people who will be aware about what forensic accounting and fraud examination techniques are about, because I think it is a very new field in the market and very less people are aware about this particular profile, this work profile and all. So if I give a brief about myself, I am currently doing my industrial training in Flipkart. I have an experience of articleship in forensic accounting in one of the big 6 firms, that is Grant Thornton. for 1.5 years. I've worked there in forensics, accounting and investigations department, right? And the most experience that I've had there is in forensic investigations because there where the money lies mostly. And big firms usually takes forensic investigations only as a project, right? So you must have heard this statement, auditor is a watchdog and not a bloodhound. So if we compare a forensic auditor with a statutory auditor, so statutory auditor is like a watchdog who is there to keep an eye over the financial statements. His work is not to catch the fraud. His work is to spot the material misstatements that could be due to fraud or error, right? So that statement we have heard or we have studied in our intermediate or audit finals also. But on the other hand, forensic auditors' work is to find the frauds that are happening inside a company. It could be through forensic audits, transaction audits, forensic investigations projects. There's a huge difference between all these three things that I will be explaining you much more in detail. Forensic audit is not something that what Dr. Saluke does in CID, right? It is much more, as a CA, we do more into numbers and not into numbers, then into processes, loopholes in the processes and all inside a company that are exploited by an employee. So that is what we term as forensic investigations, where we are hired by a private company to investigate the internal frauds of the company, right? So it could that frauds that are done by the employees or management of the company. Another thing that we do is forensic audits, in which we are hired after a fraud has been done, maybe by the government agencies or like some private like banks from with whom the fraud has happened, right? So that is what we do in forensic audits. And transaction audits are about analyzing the money trail analysis, doing the money trail analysis to find where the money laundering things have happened and where the money has gone. Right? If I talk about types of frauds that are majorly done, it consists of bank frauds. Basically, that were one of the most famous bank frauds that was done by Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya. You must have heard about that. So what they did is they took loans from banks, private banks, government banks, through some sources that they had inside the banks, right? Maybe they used those loan money for their personal purposes or for the purpose of their business accounts, right? And that happens through more than thousands of accounts that or hundreds of entities and fake shell companies that we turn that are created for this purpose only, right? So this is something called bank frauds. Another are corporate frauds, employee frauds that are, for example, you are a purchase manager at a company, right? And your work is to go through the quotations and finalize one supplier from whom you will be buying the raw material for manufacturing, right? So there may be biasness in your decision making because some of the people who are supplying the raw materials are somehow related to you and you buy the raw materials at a higher price, right? And you can earn commission through that. So these are some loopholes in the internal controls, SOPs of the company that are usually used by the employees of the company inside and to earn money through this. So what our work lies here to investigate whether such frauds have happened and how we get to know that such frauds may be happening. We get whistleblower complaints that are raised to the top management, and the top management raises the complaints to us, hire us to do that investigation to find out whether it is only that particular employee who is involved or is there any other employee who is also involved along with him in doing that particular fraud. So that is about the corporate frauds, right? Other cyber frauds that have been rising these days too much, and as we move towards the technological world, the cyber frauds are also increasing. Some of the examples: money laundering done through cryptocurrencies, right? Crypto jacking, that is what exactly cryptojacking is, using someone else's system or computer to generate cryptocurrencies. As you may be aware that cryptocurrencies are generated through using the processing power of your computer, right? So a cryptojacker, what he can do is he can hack through the system of your system of your devices and generate cryptocurrencies through that, right? Ponzi scheme, like it is something like getting 3 people below you and then 3 people below you and earning money through that. Pump and dump, as happened with Dogecoin, done by Elon Musk, so you must be aware. Okay, some of the fraud investigative techniques that we usually adopt while doing a forensic investigation. We conduct detailed interviews inside the company. For example, if we suspect the fraud to be in the purchase department, we will take interviews of all the people who are responsible in making that purchases, in creating the SOPs of purchases, and every person will be relating to that particular process and who can be relevant for us for the understanding of the process and more details about the company and the loopholes that could be used. Gathering information from trustworthy sources, it could be we can talk to the internal auditors, statutory auditors to gather more details and information regarding the processes, regarding if there were any details that were spotted by them during their audits and other informations we could gather from the top management of the company, like who are the people who are creating the SOPs, right, and all. Analyzing evidence gathered. When we gather all the evidences, we had to analyze them and to reach on some conclusion. Otherwise, client पैसे नहीं देगा ना फिर, right? So, analyzing the evidences that we have gathered and reaching to some conclusions on which we can put some allegations on the person who is suspected, right? Conducting surveillance. So I have seen this happening when some of the people in our team were sent as employee in a particular department of the client, so that he can stay there for 1 or 2 months and he can see what are the things that are being done at the ground level, right? For example, Reliance suspects that they have a factory in Jamnagar, right? They are expecting that they are doing some kind of frauds. People there are doing some kind of fraud there. So what they will do is they will hire a consultant. He will send one of his employee, right, there at the Jamnagar factory as an employee of Reliance. So people there at the Jamnagar factory will feel that he is just a colleague, right? But he is a private detective working there, right? Going undercover. So similarly, conducting surveillance, going undercover, as I said in the Reliance example. So you must be thinking that this field seems to be very interesting. What are the qualities that are required to be a good forensic auditor that I could incorporate in myself and maybe become a good forensic accountant and investigating agent, right? Analytical and investigative skills. So basically, the most important skill I think is attention to details that we need as a forensic auditor, because there can be a very minute detail that could not be ignored and it could have a really great conclusion, right? So if I give an example of a client that I worked upon, I cannot share more details, much in detail. So what happened is that company was in manufacturing of 2 types of metals. One was a precious metal and one is not a very precious metal, right? So an employee who was the head of a non-precious metal department, right? What he did is he sold bottles, inside the bottles of the non-precious metals, the precious metal, to some related parties, right? And this is how he did a fraud of around 3-4 crores through the company. And no one was able to trace him because it was done very cleanly, because he was working there since 10 years and there was a trust that is developed inside the minds of the people that this is a very trustworthy person, he is working since 10 years, he will not do such things, right? But people do, right? Legal and ethical understanding, we need to have understanding over all the legal compliances, ethical understanding. We can, in lieu of doing investigations, we cannot do something that is illegal, right? And communication skills, I think this is mostly required skill, because we need to get the information from the people only who have done such kind of things, right? So getting the skill, not only the public speaking skill, I would say the communication skills also have the interpersonal skills, right? How we connect with the person, how we get the trust of the person and get the information from him, right? So yeah, that was the skills that we need as a forensic auditor, and that was about my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ayush, for an insightful session.
Our session will feature insights from experts who have studied these failures closely, offering perspectives on what went wrong, the consequences faced, and most importantly, the lessons that have emerged from these experiences.
In the fight between the corporation and the investor, an honest and transparent corporate governance is the best and perhaps the only solution for the investor. Good afternoon to you all. Myself, Fleming Joseph. These words are that of Mr. Narayanamurthy, the former CEO of Infosys. These words have helped me to give you a glimpse about the topic that I am going to present here. Now, here I am to take you to an interesting topic about corporate governance failure and the lessons learned. Some of you may be thinking, how come the aspects of failure become so interesting? Well, I'm not going to answer that question now, because in search of the answer, you will be giving me keen attention. Well, jokes apart. And before entering to the further details of the session, I would like to give you a story. Perhaps it's not a story, it's a real incident. And moreover, I will be using this incident to substantiate the points that I have delivered in the further slides. In a village of Kerala, there was a young man. He was very much enthusiastic. He completed his BTech degree and became an engineer. During his vacations, he started helping some of his friends to compete with the CAT examinations. Surprisingly, many of his students completed the CAT examinations and got a glorious victory in that examinations. And this made him more confident about his teaching skills. And because of this, he gradually kept out his engineering skills, and he came up with an EdTech idea. For this, he actually introduced a company based in Bangalore. A company gradually went ahead, profits generated, many positive cash flows came, many other investments came, and the company was going ahead. In 2020, the whole world was affected with COVID-19 pandemic, and everyone was under the lockdown. And at this time, many of the students were not able to continue their education in a proper manner. At that situation, this company started to generate more and more profits, because many of the parents started to opt this an option, because those students can sit in the home and continue their studies. That is a good option. So the company started to perform well. In the course of the performance, they started to acquire more and more businesses. They even started to they even helped many of the teams to perform well, even the cricket event. And in the course of the business, they went ahead, profits again generated in a high amount. And in the course of business, it was even valued at 22 billion US dollar at once. I repeat, it is 22 billion US dollars. It was a huge, tremendous valuation. And in the course of business, in later times, at some point of the time, what happened was that the company started going down. Profits became less, and negative cash flows affected. It was only because of the corporate governance of that company. And this is the point that I have to give you at first. And I would like to inject one more question to your mind. A few weeks ago, we heard about leakage of question papers or some competitive examination. My question is, how come these question papers get leaked if the governance of that institutions or organizations were well? And this question remains as a question even in the Lok Sabhas. So with a lot of thoughts and facts, we are well equipped to go ahead with the slides. So let's continue our journey. Yes, first we will be seeing about what is meant by corporate. Actually, the term corporate generally refers to a company or a group authorized to act as a single entity and recognized as such in a law. In this session, we will be referring corporate as company itself. Example for this can be Apple Inc., Amazon Inc., etc. And well, whenever there is a group of people or an organization, obviously there should be some rules or regulations which is required to run the company. It is a very much must actually. So in case of a company or in case of a corporate, these rules and regulations are also known as corporate governance. In other words, corporate governance is the system of rules, practices, and the processes that guides how a company is directed and controlled. Say for example, if an organization requires its students or its employees to come to the office at 10 a.m., it's actually a rule for them. And this rule slowly becomes a practice and the processes. This is how the governance happens in every organization. And the first question that comes to our mind will be, why there is a need for such governance? And what are the benefits of the same? Yes, that's what we will be seeing in the next slide. And here, why corporate governance? Because it determines how a company operates and how it aligns with the interest of its stakeholder. Let's understand these terms with an example that I have already said earlier. In that case, obviously, this corporate governance will obviously guide the company in the manner it requires and how it aligns with the interest of stakeholders. Let's go back to the example. I have already said that company was valued at 22 billion US dollar once, and later on, the valuation of the company got down to 3 billion US dollars. What happened? What happened was that the valuation of the company got down, and it was because of the low profits, etc. And what has happened was that the shares of the company started to fall down, and the investors or the stakeholders of the company started to suffer. And this is an example how I can say that, how it aligns with the interest of stakeholders. In this example, the interest of the stakeholders was not kept ahead by the company. If it was keeping its interest of the stakeholders in a well better manner, then obviously they would not have indulged in some activities that would affect the stakeholders. The other concept that we will be seeing is that the benefits of corporate governance. First one is improved financial performance. We can understand this with an example of Tata as well as Byju's. Both these companies have acquired a number of companies during its course of business. And we know the acquiring of another company is actually a financial aspect, or it includes a financial records also. And the acquiring done by Tata have helped the company to grow up, and the acquiring done by the Byju's have helped the company only to go down. That's the difference. So if the financial performance have to be improved, there must be good corporate governance. If there is a good corporate governance, good decisions can be taken. The next one is risk management. Whatever the business it may be, there will be different types of risks that have to be faced. So it is important for an organization to assess the risk and mitigate the risk. And let's identify and assess this with the help of another example. Let's take an example of Nokia. For the company Nokia, the software Android software was a potential threat, but they were not able to identify the same. And what happened was that the company started to fall down. If there were a good corporate governance, or if there were a good board of directors for the company, obviously they would have identified the risk of Android, and they would have come up with some other methods or techniques. Compliance and legal benefits, and the last point is enhanced reputation and trust. And a company with a good corporate governance will obviously adhere with the compliances and the legal requirements. And as a result of all the three above things, the reputation of the company will enhance. Now let's see basic principles of corporate governance. First one is accountability. Accountability means taking responsibility of something else, or taking the responsibility of the action of something else. In case of a company, the corporate governance is the responsibility of the board of directors, and the management of the company is accountable to the board of directors. And ultimately, the shareholders of the company are accountable for electing this board of directors. And in a nutshell, in a company, the accountability shall be well maintained if there is a good corporate governance. Next one is transparency. What is meant by transparency? It means an openness. Openness to whatever the company is doing. And it is a right of every stakeholder or the shareholder to get the news about what is the stand of the company, what is the profit generated by the company, what is the income generated by the company, etc. Everything must be transparent to every public. And fairness. Fairness means treating everyone as it is required. Independence. Independence means there can be no bias in any decision making, etc. That is what is the principles of corporate governance. If these principles of corporate governance is existing, then we can assure that the company will excel in the coming years. Now let us go and see some examples of corporate governance models. First one is Anglo-American model. What is meant by Anglo-American model? This is also known as shareholder model. In this aspect, the shareholders of the company is given more importance. That means the shareholders of the company are the one who elects the board of directors, and they are having the roles and responsibilities assigned according to the organizational structure. The next one is continental model or German model. Here, as per this model, the workers are given more importance in the company, and therefore the workers are also given an role even in the management of the organization. And these workers are the people who elect the 50% of the board of directors, and thus they will ensure that the ideas of workers are also included in the overall management of the company. The next one is Japanese model. In context of Japan, the performance or the indulgence of banks and financial institutions is very much high, and therefore in this model they are giving more importance to banks and financial institutions, and therefore the banks and the shareholders of the company together elect the board of directors and the president of the company, and this president becomes a mediator between the management and the board of directors. And next we will be able to see what is how come the corporate governance fail in various industries, and is there any possibilities, or what are the possibilities that corporate governance failures can take place. What is meant by corporate governance failure? Corporate governance failure is the inadequacy or breakdown of systems, processes and the principles designed to ensure ethical, accountable and stakeholder-focused management of a corporation. Let's take an example of Byju's itself. When the company was growing in a well-versed manner, they have also indulged in some unethical practices. The sales wing of the organization even went to poor parents and raised a question about, if your children should not be like you, you should buy this product. And they were blackmailing in some sense. And out of this blackmail, many of the parents bought the product for the children. And how unethical it is. And that is an example of unethical processes. And these are the different points when does the corporate governance fail. The first one is inefficient internal control, fraud, unethical leadership, weak board of directors. When all these points are prevailing in an organization, obviously we can say that the corporate governance of that organization will come to a failure situation. What are the consequences of corporate governance breakdown? First one is reputation damage, the another one is financial loss, and the last one is regulatory compliances. The reputational damage is a great loss. None of the company can regain the same, and it is very difficult for the organizations to regain the same. Financial loss, somehow they can adjust, but the reputational damage is the greatest difficulty that the company is going to face when there is a failure of corporate governance. And obviously, whenever there is a corporate governance failure, regulatory actions can be also taken place upon that company. These are some examples of corporate governance failure, like Yes Bank scam, Nirav Modi scam, Satyam scam, etc. In all these, we will be able to see that top management of the organization indulging in some unethical practices so that they can make some profits or something other things. And ultimately, have helped the company only to go down. And these are examples of some governance scandals that are taken place outside India, like Enron scam, WorldCom, Volkswagen emission scam, etc. Now, what we have to learn from all these scams and scandals? The first one is the importance of presence of strong board of directors. The second one is the importance of presence of risk management and internal controls. The third one is transparency and disclosure. And the last one is stakeholder communication, ethical practices, regulatory compliances, and oversights. And the key conclusions and the takeaways will be the importance of transparency and accountability, need for strong oversight and ethics, impact of cultural leadership, etc. So, as a good citizen of India, it is our responsibility not to indulge in such activities in the coming future. So now I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all your participation in this presentation on corporate governance. Thank you.
Vital role in assessing and ensuring the effectiveness of these measures, safeguarding sensitive information and maintaining operational resilience. Today, we are here to explore the intricacies of cybersecurity, auditing, examining the methodologies, challenges and best practices that organizations need to adopt to mitigate cyber risk effectively. Our session will feature insights in cybersecurity auditing, offering valuable perspectives on the latest threats, regulatory requirements, and strategies for conducting comprehensive audits. Let me welcome Ms. Rajlakshmi to the stage to provide us with more insights on the same. Over to you.
As far as my knowledge is concerned, although the advancement of digital transformation is promising, still it poses a major threat to data protection and privacy. So let me raise a very simple question to my knowledgeable audience over here. Have you ever thought about the credibility of digital space and how secure your personal data is? I think this question might seem a bit scary, but just imagine from a broader perspective. That is, from the perspective of a business organization. An organization that is taking all the advantage in this increasingly interconnected world, reaching to new customers, streamlining process, innovating like never before, etc., etc. So on the other hand, as the world is becoming more interconnected, the risk of cyber risk is also escalating on the other side. According to the latest report published by the Cybersecurity Ventures, it is being estimated that the cyber crime will cost the global economy a staggering $10.5 trillion by 2025. So this report clearly highlights the massive financial impact that a business could face if they fail to address the cyber risk effectively. So it is not just about the security plan, rather it is all about a consistent auditing. So here comes the relevance of my topic, cybersecurity auditing. So ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good afternoon to everyone present over here. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Rajlakshmi, and today I'm gonna present the paper titled Cybersecurity Auditing. So let's dive right in and discover more about what exactly is a cybersecurity audit. First and foremost, I would like to give you an overview regarding what exactly is a cybersecurity audit. It is a systematic and impartial evaluation of an organization's cybersecurity. Or in very simple words, I can say it is a comprehensive analysis and review of the entire IT infrastructure. Now, what benefit a business is having if they are performing cybersecurity audit? First and foremost, it will assist an organization regarding the crucial insight about the risk related to their cybersecurity. In addition to that, they can identify the security loopholes and the various vulnerabilities that exist in their system. And by doing a regular cyber audit, an organization can gain the confidence of the customers as well. Thereby, they can enhance the reputation and brand value. Now, let's have a glance regarding the common threats that is faced by a business today. As you can see on the screen, these are the major cyber threats that is faced by the business today. First and foremost, phishing attack. There is no doubt that phishing attack is the most common cyber threat that is faced by the business. And according to the latest phishing benchmark global report, it is being estimated that 1 in every 5 mail, the recipient is gonna click on a malicious link. The second one is malware attack. Malware, it is somewhat like a software that can actually damage, that will give a pause to personal data, and also they can access the personal data as well as all the sensitive information. The next one is denial of service attack. As the name itself, it is actually disabling the whole system. So once a hacker hack the system, they can have the control over the entire system. The next one is insider threat. As the name itself, it will be done by someone within the organization. So there is no doubt that most of the case, it can be done either by the employees, the business contractors, or even by the business partners. So it is very difficult to detect and prevent it. According to the latest report, it is being estimated that 59% of the employees steal their proprietary corporate data once after they leave the same organization. This sounds a bit crazy, right? So next, moving on to this graph. Actually, this graph picturizes the consequence of cyber attack. So when we are living in this digital platform, it is very important that we need to address the cyber risk. As you can see on the screen, these are the major consequences of cyber attack. That is damage to business reputation, lawsuit filed against your business, paid regulatory fines, likewise a list is endless. So it is very important that we need to have an effective auditing. So here the major steps we need to follow when we are doing an IT audit are the following. First and foremost, define the scope. We need to have a clear idea regarding what we are going to do. That means regarding the objective of auditing. Second is identifying the threats. There are both internal and external threats are there. We need to have a clear idea regarding the threats, as we have already discussed major threats. So we need to focus more on which need to be more stressed or to addressed there. Next is evaluate the risk. Once we have made a plan, we need to assess the risk. So that's all about the process of IT audit. Moving on to next, the most important or the core of this presentation, that is the Cosmos Bank Cyber Haste. In 2011, Cosmos Bank, an Indian corporate bank, it fell as a victim to a sophisticated cyber attack. And from this case study, it is clear about the relevance of cyber audit. Actually, what happened is the employees are being tricked and they clicked on a malicious link. Thereby, the hackers stole a huge amount, that is around 94 crore, and that is being transferred to a fraudulent account. So, Cosmos Bank Cyber Haste is always a very relevant case study when we are just discussing about a cyber security audit. Because from that, it is being crystal clear about how insecure we are actually when we are just doing when we are just doing all this cyber related stuff. And the last but not the least, the future trends of cyber auditing. The first and foremost is leveraging AI and automation. As we all know that we are switching to a world of AI so that it can provide a lot of new security tools. The second one is prioritizing proactive best practice. So it is high time that we need to switch from reactive to proactive. And the last one is addressing changing cybersecurity skill gap. That is, it is high time that we need to appoint employees who are very skilled. And last but not the least, I would like to remind you all that it might take 20 years to build a reputation, but just a 1 minute of cyber incidents is more than enough to ruin the whole stuff. So thank you all and have a very nice day.
Thank you, Ms. Rajalakshmi, for an insightful session. Now, I request our session chairman, CA Dr. Durgesh Pandey, to give his insights upon the session.
Yes, so first of all, congratulations to all of you. I wish I was so wise at your age. So, the exposure that we are getting, the exposure that you people are getting is fabulous. We should have a big round of applause for the team, a big round of applause for the organizers, that we are learning such contemporary topic. People, please understand, here and there, everywhere, and you don't know how to navigate through that. Anyways, that is not my topic. That is Lijil sir's topic. So probably he will take it up sometimes next year. So, we had some very insightful presentations, and I would like to just throw light upon 3 very popular cases which we have. The first one, a case which probably I have also included in my book. In my city of Ahmedabad, I come from the western part of the country called as Ahmedabad, and as we have an audience of chartered accountants, potential chartered accountants, you will understand that capital gains are exempt on agricultural land. Sale of agricultural land, you don't have capital gain. So we had a case where an SSC, he sold a huge chunk of land on which he claimed that there will not be any capital gain. Okay, he filed the return, things went good, return was processed, he was not taxed. But then somehow a flag was raised that no, things are not the way they should be, and probably there was a suspicion that this land is not an agricultural land. Now please understand, the Act also defines that a land will be called as agricultural land only when it is tilled and it has a standing crop for the past 2 years. Correct me if I am wrong, I don't practice in tax, but then I understand this is the rule in the Income Tax Act. So the land has to be tilled, there has to be standing crop, only then it will fall in the definition of agricultural land. So a firm was engaged which was into forensic accounting practice. A firm was engaged, they did something called as geospatial analysis and temporal analysis, that is geography analysis and time period analysis, based on which they did a tie-up with a space research agency, where the space research agency was taking snapshots of the land, and 2 years data was collected, 2 years snap was collected, wherein it was clearly demonstrated that there was no standing crop on the land. This is in public domain, you can search, you can read, this has happened. So this is the power of technology and this is the power of investigation when we say forensic accounting, forensic investigation. The most important thing that I understand in forensic investigation is look beyond the obvious, think out of box. Same set of procedures applied to same set of data will give same set of results, which should not be the case. Okay. Next, we had corporate governance. Yes, a very nice case, your own boy from Ernakulam, he spoke about a very nice case, Byju's. A quick caveat for Byju's. There's a large technology investment company called as Process, PROSUS. They invested 560 million in 2019, which if I put it in Indian currency, 560 60 million US dollars, which we put, if you put it in 2019 in rupee term, when rupee to dollar was 70 rupee, I understand we have, Kerala is a boon to India, bringing so much money from outside. So you'll know what is rupee to dollar. So rupee to dollar was 70 rupees, and the investment that time was somewhere around 3,750 crores. So they invested 3,750 crores, and probably last week they came out with a press release that they are reducing their investment value in Byju's to zero. So 3,750 crores has been reduced to zero, because of poor corporate governance. And how do you strengthen the corporate governance? Independent auditors, independent directors, not just on the paper, but in the deeds, in the mind. And you are the future. You have to bring that in culture, you have to bring that in practice. The third case, I got probably 200 messages from a lady chartered accountant in my city. She is a chartered accountant, probably aged over 50. Why I am telling her age? Because she has practiced for at least 20-25 years. And then she called me. I have around 200 messages from her. She was chasing me to help her register an FIR because she was victim of a cyber fraud. What type of cyber fraud? She got a message with a financial influencer that you invest money in these stocks and your money will grow. She was made to download an app, and then she invested only rupees 30 lakhs in that, which she lost in 10 days. And now she's running pillar to post to lodge that complaint and to lodge that fraud. So cyber frauds are here to stay. And mind you, we have one session for this, but according to me, if you ask me the future of accounting, the future of practice, this is the future. This 1 hour is the future of tomorrow's practice. So, please, despite this not being part of your syllabus, artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to hit all of us hard, whether we like it or whether we don't. So please channelize your energy on those topics, learn and read about those topics. That is going to help you, and that is the future. Thank you so much for your patient hearing, and I suppose I would hand over next to whosoever will take this forward. Okay? Thank you.
Session chairman, speakers, senior chartered accountants, and my dear friends. Good evening. Once more, good evening. So, as a judge, I'm supposed to give my closing remarks. So, being the session audit, can I keep, with your permission, closing remarks in auditing? Yes or no? Yes. So based on my professional judgment, based on the techniques which I applied, inquiry, observation and analytical procedure, in my opinion and best of the knowledge which I have gained, all the paper presenters show. Come on, show. True and correct view with respect to the topics which is allotted to them. Of course, Chairman just said, we have been taught in classes, syllabus, etc. with respect to the conventional audit, auditing, vouching, verification, test of details, substantive procedure, all those things, right? But here, all the topics, be it forensic accounting, corporate governance, as well as cyber security, all these topics is not so easy. That too, presenting on a stage in front of all the audience. So a big round of applause to all the paper presenters. And we have some criteria for judging. Okay, so who may be the winner, but for me, all the people over here are the winners. Yes. And coming to that was the comment regarding the judging. And coming to the role as an auditor, as you have been hearing from the technical session once, it was regarding what? Technical session 1? Regarding the artificial intelligence. Now again coming back to cyber security is again linking to the artificial intelligence to an extent. Then forensic accounting and also corporate governance. There are a lot of other areas which are there like ESD, SDG, etc. So our scope of audit will change to an extent. But as Little Sir said in his session, I would like to take that one point with Sir's permission. Now, you as a student, you should be the drivers of the car so that in a year or so, you will own those cars. So I wish all the students, to all my buddies, think big, challenge the change, accept the change, and wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
I request our session chairman, CA Dr. Durgesh Pandey, to facilitate our paper presenters with a memento.
I also request you to felicitate our session judge, CA Revati Raja, with a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir.
I made it clear that I don't really need any kind of formality or intro or any invitation to be here. This is SICASA, very much a part of my DNA. I've been very fortunate to be closely associated, and I'm not going to keep you for too long. This is really the wrong end of time, so probably another 20 minutes I will speak, and we can informally interact. It's been a very long day. I had come here this morning, and I was so happy to see a hall full of young CA students raring to go. The 2-day conference is something which is very close to our hearts, and we are thankful to Board of Studies for giving us one more opportunity, and with a fantastic leader like Rupesh and with the whole team, so much of good work has gone in. It's very, very obvious when I saw the energy there. I know fully well when I come in at 5 o'clock, I can't expect too many people, but I must say there are more people here than I thought considering the time. But I'm very happy that you all stayed back, and that I hope your friends come again tomorrow. Very, very interesting sessions, and particularly the student speaker sessions. I think it's important that you sit back and listen to them. We are here, we are all locally available, we can come and speak to you anytime. But what is really motivating is when you see the young students who are your own peer group, youngsters like you should also feel that yes, next conference I'm going to be on stage. I want to be a part of the, this time I'm in the audience, next time I'm going to be a speaker. So it's a wonderful opportunity for, for the students to also come, meet, mingle and interact. And SICASA, I must say, is a fantastic forum, and I heard your vice chairman in his vote of thanks very passionately, selling SICASA, so to say, encouraging all of you, come join SICASA, be a part. So that's great. So he's very clearly benefited from the friendship and from all the training and expertise of his student friends and the CA friends in SICASA, and he is inviting all of you to join, and you really should, because this is very different. SICASA is something very different, very unique, and students from all these offices from different firms come together, and it's a great platform for all of you to interact. So I'll very briefly speak about I don't really need to say much, because I'm sure almost all of you know what the opportunities for chartered accountants are. But nevertheless, I thought I'll just touch upon a few specific areas, because these are new avenues which are opening up. We've always had our traditional areas, audit, core audit, plus some of the add-on audits which came later. Earlier it used to be the the statutory function alone, which we now call the statutory audit. Now you have the GST audits, the income tax audits, and very, very importantly, the internal audits, which is really, what the board is looking at. A lot of importance is given to the internal audit function, and the internal auditors are also seen with great respect and, great responsibilities thrust upon the shoulders of the internal auditor as well. But again, internal auditor is part of the management, whereas the statutory function is a more independent function. I'm sure you know all that. But these are the traditional areas of audit. Now, of late, if you really look at the, particularly in the last 8-10 years, a lot of evolution has happened in the audit profession. Consulting has come up in a big way, and various aspects of consulting are being looked at as opportunities for chartered accountants. And the reason why this has happened is because in the earlier days, when Rupesh and I were students, about 75 to 80% of CAs would go into practice. Around 20-25% would go to industry. But now the times have changed. More than 90% are going to industry, and we are left with only 10 to 15% who come into practice. So the whole ratio has changed, but of course the number of CAs who are coming out, much larger number. So thankfully, even with the 10 to 15% who come into practice, we still have a fairly good quality of chartered accountants who are in practice. So my first request to all of you is, if you have the passion for practice, please come for practice, because you get to do various avenues, multiple kinds of assignments, be it audit, be it taxation, be it consulting, all of these, under the same basket, working with teams, being partners, being owners. So this is something which is very lucrative about practice. Industry is also a fantastic option, a lot of avenues, but there you're working for someone. Here it's a little bit more of a entrepreneurial mindset is also coming into play when you're doing your own part of being a practice firm or being a partner in a firm. You're a part owner there. So to that extent, there is a difference in the way we see it. But now what has happened is, because a large number of CAs have gone into industry, the way industry is run and the way the MNCs have come into the country, both the MNC corporates as well as the MNC audit firms or consulting firms, they have brought in various new avenues of practice. So in a way, while some would find fault with the Big Four and say Big Four is not good for the country and all that, I'm very neutral about it. There are pluses and minuses. Personally, I feel that because of them coming in, a lot of new avenues have opened up, a lot of new opportunities have opened up. So I'm not somebody who will, criticize Big Four backdoor entry into India and all that, because overall I think it's good that a whole international flavor has come in. It has helped Indian firms like us to open up new avenues and new opportunities which hitherto were unknown to us. We have seen that, some of the best practices which they have brought in globally, we have also learned from that, accordingly adapted. And with one generation, they would have probably come into India 20 years ago or 25 years ago. And by then, a whole generation of CAs have been in practice, and they've also learned. Many have gone to the Big Four and come back into practice, or worked in large multinational organizations or multinational banks like Rupesh, and then come into practice. So they've learned some of the best global practices, and then they bring the best of that into practice. And as a result of that, a lot of new avenues have opened up, where earlier none would think of employing a CA, or no one would think that a chartered accountant can be brought in for doing AI-related work or a digital transformation or sustainability and all that. These were things which no one would imagine would be core areas for a chartered accountant, but that has now changed. Today, the kind of assignments which are coming and the kind of tenders which are open for CAs is phenomenal. We are invited. Different platforms and different corporates ask us to carry out assignments which which sometimes we also wonder, wow, why are they asking us? But then they see that. So what has happened over a course of time is that a CA is seen as an all-rounder. You are no longer a batsman or a bowler or a fielder. You are expected to be an all-rounder. You need to know everything. You need to know not just how to look at the numbers. You must also not just know how to read the disclosures in an India's financials, but you must also know how to look at the operations in a company, how to improve the profitability in a company, how to reduce cost in a company, how to be part of digitizing a company which is, small SME business, which is still either on manual systems or which are, following, one of the, smaller, lower end accounting software is moving up to ERPs and SAPs and all that. So we are part of that. And who better than us? Who better than us? Because finally we are going to go at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter and do the audit and find fault in this whole migration process. So they want us to be part of it so that we don't come at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year and find fault with all these are the different issues which are there. They don't want that. So management wants us to be part of the team. So obviously statutory auditor cannot be a part of this process, but the internal auditor or any other CA consultant can be a part of all these operational activities. And these are very, very interesting assignments. Each one is different. Each assignment has a very unique flavor, a very unique color to it, and so it's very exciting for us. Tomorrow what comes in, we have no idea. Sometimes we have no clue. We haven't done it before, but then, we get involved because the intellectual acumen is there in each one of us and the experience is there in each one of us. So when something new comes in, we spend that time and we try to figure out, okay, fine, this is interesting. Let's put our mind to it. And, we realize that we are able to look at it far more critically and far more intellectually than most of the other professionals. So it's also important that we work closely with them. So when you get an assignment like that, we work with engineers, we hire some of the engineers, we sometimes get lawyers if it is a compliance related activity. We work with fellow finance professionals, CMAs and company secretaries and all the others who are trained in our own subjects. So the days have gone when you're competing, that is gone. Today nobody is competing or you can't afford to compete now. It is the days of collaboration. I cannot sit and compete with another audit firm and all that. No. I should use the best of skill sets which somebody else has. If my skill set is in audit and Rupesh's skill set is in digital transformation of a bank, and if an assignment comes in, it is important for me that he works with me. Only then can we leverage the advantage of the experience of multiple. Similarly, for any different kind of thing that comes up, if you're looking at a SAP implementation, we may need to get somebody who has that core expertise. So we must also be prepared to work, which is why Institute has also opened up on many things now, multidisciplinary firms and all of that. ICA is also permitting that. Government is asking Indian CA firms to grow in size and become bigger than the big four, not just in India. They want us to become bigger than the big four globally. This is the message coming in from the top, be it the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister. They're all egging us on, saying, go forth and create large structures which, where global respect is there for Indian firms. So this is the future as far as I'm concerned. And for all of you youngsters here, you have really, really bright future here. You must understand that. But you should also understand there are responsibilities which come. Because our profession is one where we are dealing, especially if you're in practice, you are signing off on balance sheets. You are signing off saying that something that you're looking at is either true and fair or true and correct. And when you say it is true and correct, or when you say it's true and fair, it needs to be true, it needs to be correct, or it needs to be fair. You cannot do a blindsided audit. You've not seen it, you've not looked at anything, something is brought before you, you sign, and those are the black sheep in the profession who bring us down. We've landed in, a lot of disrespect has come to the profession because of certain unfortunate incidents which have happened in very large corporations. Satyam or ILFS or DHFL and all that, if you've been reading over the last few years, you will see. These are things which will bring down the image of the profession. Sometimes when we sit in the boardrooms of listed companies, they ask us, we hope you have done a good job. We hope you have not colluded with the management and all that. Sometimes independent directors are asking auditors. They shouldn't even be asking. They should not have the audacity to ask us that question. When it is a chartered accountant and we sign on it, that's it. It's like questioning a judge. A judge gives a judgment, that's it. Then nothing beyond that. That was the respect which, the signature of a chartered accountant carried probably a few years ago. Today that is being questioned. ICA's powers are being questioned. NFRA has come in, a lot of the powers, disciplinary powers are taken away by them. So we have another policing agency sitting on top of us over and above ICA. So these are unfortunate things which have happened as a result of incidents which have created collapses in the economy because of large frauds and all of that. So that's part of the game. But again, as youngsters, understand that what is most important is that in profession you must have ethics, you must have values, you must be honest, Sri Priya spoke this morning, honesty, very important. We spoke about integrity, speaking about values, speaking about ethics. It's all in the mind. It's not the code of ethics which the ICA can bring out a 200 page or a 2000 page. But finally, the person who is doing it, if it's not ethically correct, even if you have a 2000 page code, what difference does it make if the person who is doing it is sitting and finding out, മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കുരുട്ട് വഴികൾ നോക്കിയിട്ട് ഇത് പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യണം ഒരു മാനസികാവസ്ഥയിലാണ് ഓഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ എന്താ കാര്യം? Finally, that is the point. I think there are a few people who are non-Malayalis here, so I think I should stick to English. Yeah. So, point is that you must, and it must be very deeply ingrained in you. Those values and those principles and those ethos and those ethics should be very, very deeply ingrained in you. Only then can you survive, and only then can you flourish, and only then will you be respected as a good professional. And finally, that is important. Only if each one of you takes that, there is a vow which you need to take, and if you are going to take that vow and you take that seriously and you stick to that pledge, then the profession will move forward. We are looking at you. We need all of you to come forward. We need all of you to be very actively involved. The economy needs you. The country needs you. So understand the responsibility that is cast on each one of you. Immense opportunities are there. I said I can speak at length about AI, or I can talk on digital, or I can talk about sustainability or carbon credit or ESG and all of that, but we are really at the wrong end of time. So this is not the time for me to elaborate on any of this. So I'm just very broadly touching about some of the new avenues which have opened up. So the old avenues are still there. A lot of new avenues are opening up. So in short, it's a great time to be a CA student and a great time to be a chartered accountant. All my good wishes to all of you. God bless you.
Sir, thank you for sharing your expertise and being with us today. Now, I request CA Rupesh Rajagopal, Chairman, Ernakulam branch of SICASA of ICAI, to felicitate our eminent speaker, CA Vivek Krishna Govind, with a memento.